thank you very much for coming out to this June meeting of the West Rockhill Township Board of Supervisors. Would you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. I would like to suggest we observe a moment of silence in honor of the Chief of Police of Ferguson, which we lost this week. And following that moment of silence, I'll ask Tim to give you some of the details on the activity. Then Tim will do the regular police report in the agenda as listed. So, on the silence, please. Thank you. Okay, Tim, you want to give everybody a brief rundown?
On Sunday, June 16th, unfortunately, the Berkeley Borough Police Department lost their chief. Steve Hillius was 49 years old. He was a husband and a father of two children, a 27-year-old son and a 13-year-old daughter. Steve had been with the police department since February of 1997. He had worked there. He had worked his way up through the ranks. He graduated in 1991 with a bachelor's degree in management from Penn State University. Steve then went on and got his master's degree in 2010 from DeSales. When I tell you guys all that we lost someone that was very, very important, not just to us police officers, but to the community as a whole, I truly mean from the bottom of my heart. I mean, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. He was a very dear friend of mine. We literally started our careers together, and we worked together from field training. He was with his field training officer, and I was with mine on the very first day that we both worked. So he is someone that will truly be missed by me, by our entire department, by the Berkeley Police Department. I believe that all of the arrangements in regards to viewings and funerals are all posted online. Everything's going to be Friday and Saturday. I would recommend anybody that's going to go there to please try and get there early. I know there's going to be a lot of police involvement as well. So I thank you very much for offering up that moment of silence. And if everyone can just keep his family in your prayers, please, I ask that you do that, okay? Thank you all.
Thank you, Jim. Good job. Okay, are there any comments on the subjects on the agenda for tonight's meeting? Mr. Lynn?
Do I have to go up here?
Yes.
Robert Linden, Reagan Drive. On your old business items tonight, could you bring up the Allentown Road issue that you discussed about a year ago and give us a report on the widening of the bridges? Remember that?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great, so then, yes,
Hi, Cliff Cole, Shecroft Road. Just wondering, I don't see the Adelphia appeal listed on here. That will be discussed during the whole business, or?
Greg will be discussing that in his portion of the meeting.
Well, actually, probably not. As you know, at the last meeting, the board authorized us to hire an attorney that specializes in environmental matters to file an appeal, and that appeal has been filed. So if you want a copy of the appeal, I'm sure that Greg can get it for you.
Can it be posted on the website?
That's beyond my pay grade. But
Public records.
But not every public record is posted on the website, but there won't be in-depth discussions of the matter at public meetings for strategy reasons. It's in litigation now.
Okay, but there's other things besides the of the appeal to talk about with the Adelphia pipeline.
Absolutely.
I'm actually addressing the commission. Okay.
Any other comments on the agenda item? If not, a few announcements. We plan to have an executive session tonight to discuss real estate, and that's the only item we have.
Legal.
Okay.
We have a legal matter.
Legal and real estate.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, legal on real estate. Consent agenda. Have you gentlemen reviewed the consent agenda items, and are there any questions or discussion? Or I would, if not, entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Confirmed appointments, we have one this evening. That's Rockhill Contractor Services. Gentlemen?
Oh, okay. I had submitted a letter to you, to the board on May 3rd, 2019. I'm guessing you had reviewed the letter. What I was asking is, we had a land development stormwater agreement with Township. We completed everything pertaining to stormwater and paving of the road at Meeting House Road, planting trees in the front part of the property, put our sidewalks, our curbs, everything that the township had required, engineers had required. I'm working with Steve. What I was asking for is, we have 28 pine trees that are placed in the construction zone, as I could say, for our next building. And what I'm looking for is that those 28 trees are part of the land development package, which, if I could put it that way. So what we're asking for is, all of our storm sewer has been up, and actually, I was just looking back in my notes, our last storm sewer pipe was installed in June 29, 2017. So technically, that system has been up and running since June 29, 2017. So in the maintenance agreement, it says once all land development is done, it goes into a maintenance period. And with that, there is, if I'm guessing the amount, is $62,000 that has to be held in that maintenance period. What I'm asking is to defer the pine trees into the next building so we can get our storm sewer into the maintenance period. That way, the way I'm looking at it is, on the financial end, is once the maintenance period would be done in an 18-month time, that should mean hopefully that we could be building the next building. And it just works great for us financially. I've done everything that the township has asked me to do, worked side by side with Steve Balla and local contractors. So I'm asking if there's some type of addendum or amendment we can do to the stormwater maintenance agreement to move my storm sewer into the maintenance period.
Gentlemen, have any questions?
I don't have a problem with it. So, no, I don't have a problem with it either.
Steve?
Yeah, as Brian said, the site is in good condition, the bulk of the improvements are completed. Their only holdup is that they have ultimately four buildings to construct, and only one has been constructed to date. So there's a few miscellaneous items. Of an escrow item, the trees are probably the largest single thing that would conflict. If you put them in now, it would conflict with building those buildings later.
There could be documentation put somewhere that they will be done at some point.
Right, and actually I had a discussion with Mary earlier today, and we had that, she had that suggestion of a sort of amended agreement or
A maintenance.
a maintenance agreement that would stipulate these few items that we're deferring to a later date.
And it was my understanding that there would be additional financial security put up over and above the 15% maintenance security to guarantee the installation of those improvements.
Well, it's still being held in escrow anyway. The
Yeah.
trees are still being held anyway.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to suggest additional
Extra.
that money. I just
Yeah.
meant instead of releasing all the money to you, the money that was in reserve for those improvements would remain.
Would still be held. That is my understanding also.
Okay.
Yeah, but in general, the site is in good condition. We have as-built plans, improvements that they've built are
Is there a
acceptable.
punch list?
They, the only punch list is just these items outside.
The trees.
The trees that haven't been done.
It's only the tree.
So based on the.
I have,
Yeah.
I have everything from your escrow.
I'll
crossed through.
confirm that
Okay.
with you,
Okay.
but it's primarily the trees. I'm just trying to think, there's some other work that's not done, but it wasn't necessarily escrowed. It's internal parking areas and some finish work that we didn't escrow, but we would, normally would be complete before we, accepted the project.
So based on the discussion, I would get a motion for approval on the basis that it's documented and with an agreement.
I'll make that motion.
You made, second?
Yeah, I'll make the second.
Okay, moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Let's have it. So Mary and Steve will work with you, on the written agreement is going forward, and we'll move forward with your request.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, are committee reports, Chris Durstein, Planning Commission.
Evening.
Evening, Chris.
All right, Planning Commission met last week. We had 4 applicants. First was Select Properties with the Young Track on Mountain View Road. It's a minor subdivision, and they were in before I reported on this last month. It's 2-lot subdivision in the VR district. It's 13.37 acres. Lot 1 would be the existing dwelling, 7.08. Lot 2 is vacant, that's the one they're purchasing at 6.29 acres. Now, the hang-up last time was they didn't have any sewer delineated on Lot 2. Since that time, they did find a primary and reserve area on Lot 2, so they're ready to move forward. Now, since there's no construction plan, they were looking for deferrals rather than waivers for street improvements, curbs, sidewalks, and rec land. Now, PC was uncomfortable with the use of deferrals. Apparently, we've never done that before. We've never done it since I've been in. So we did reject the deferrals. However, if they came back as waivers, we would support waivers. So that being said, they also wanted to defer stormwater management and erosion control designs since no construction is planned. Now, PC and engineering were not comfortable with that either, and we're suggesting that the record plan show notes and restrictive covenants to be established if the township were to consider deferring the stormwater management plan until a construction plan is put in place. So, if they're working through that, PC is recommending conditional preliminary final with the supervisors and staff and solicitor hammering out these deferral issues. And they are here tonight to present, so I'm going to move forward and let them pick up my slack when they come up. So that was Select Properties. Our second applicant was Carluzzi. They have the truck repair shop out on Old Mill and Old 309. They brought in a new plan. You might remember they were in a couple of months ago. They were going to put an addition on their existing building and try to possibly combine one of their other lots to get better parking. They have since scrapped that plan. Their new plan would combine all 3 of the properties that he owns, raise the building that is on Old 309. I think there's an antique store and whatnot in there. Raise that building, construct a 6,400 square foot 3-bay repair garage, and not looking to put an addition on their original building. We did have discussion about coordinating stormwater facilities. You might remember the granite shop north of them is an adjoining property, and they were suggesting doing some stormwater management right along the road there. So we're encouraging them to coordinate with that project. The owner was on board as long as it doesn't slow them down. Engineers, they'll handle it between professionals, so hopefully we can get coordination there. So they were in as a sketch plan, so they'll be back with a formal plan next month or two, I'm sure. So that was Caroluzzi. Third was Palzer minor subdivision. It's in the IS district. They were also in a few months ago. They are a 2-lot subdivision on Cat Hill Road, adjacent to the 309 bypass. They're looking for 2 lots. Lot 1 has an existing dwelling that is occupied. It's 2.06 acres. Lot 2 has a vacant building that they're looking to raise and replace with a new building, new residence. That's 6.46 acres. And they're proposing private well and sewer on site. You might remember they had an issue that the septic for Lot 1 was on the proposed Lot 2 in their original plan. So they did come back with a new plan, putting the septic for Lot 1 on Lot 1, but it gives the Lot 2 an irregular shape, which would require a waiver. Now, we were more than happy to grant that waiver, seeing we suggested that they do it. So they're going to follow through with that. So PC is recommending waivers for the irregular lot, street improvements, and rec land, all with fee in lieu of wherever required. And we are recommending a conditional preliminary final on that project as well. And they are here in 90%, I'm assuming. Last applicant was Durstein Millhafen. You know the property, the little Durstein Mill. We asked them to, well, they asked us if they could stage their project. They want to do this in 3 separate stages. So they came back in with a staging plan. Timing and detailing was discussed as follows. Stage 1 would be an office addition to an existing pole barn, parking area near the office, sewer extension to Telford system, and Keystone Drive improvements, which was widening and overlay, and construction of a stormwater basin. And they are saying that stage should take about 2 to 3 years. Stage 2 was construction of a new pole barn, the new entrance from Keystone, and the installation of most of the main parking area. The owner would like to build the pole barn before constructing the entrance off Keystone. Now, Planning Commission felt pretty strongly that it's pretty important to get that entrance off of Keystone to eliminate the one coming in off of 152. The owner, again, he's concerned about people coming into the property before the property is ready to have people come in through that entrance. So he wants to build the pole barn first. So a possible solution was letting him construct the barn first, holding his UNO on the barn until he constructs the entrance off the Keystone. And they seem to be okay with that. Stage 3 of the project would be construction of a building for light manufacturing, completion of the parking area, and improvements to the existing historic structures. So he wants to rehab all the existing historic buildings on the property, but that's going to happen last. So this is a large project, and we've had a few meetings with them, and we pretty much hammered out all other details before we got into this staging situation. So that being said, PC is recommending conditional preliminary final approval based on the completion of all outstanding engineering items. That, as well as a caveat stating that the Keystone Drive entrance be completed within 3 years and that the UNO will not be issued until the entrance is complete. So that was it with them. So like I said, we're and we're ready to move forward. Preliminary.
Is the planning commission comfortable with the phasing that's going on?
We are.
Proposing?
Yeah. The first stage should not create additional traffic coming in off of State Road. They're putting an addition on our office, so if anything, it would just be for more office employees. It shouldn't generate more customer traffic. We're all right with that. And you know, it's also a big financial burden. I think that's, you know, the major crux of why they want to stage, which is understandable. It's a very large project. So yeah, we were fine with it, and Steve seemed to be okay with things as well. So we're ready to move.
My only issue with delaying the other driveway is coming down 152 and that you're coming over a hump and you're coming up to that driveway. I'm just concerned about the safety issues there.
Yeah, and we all share that.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard to put his feet to the fire on the cost of the project.
Yeah.
Now, we're
You know, I understand, I'm just saying.
we're cautiously comfortable with the way it's.
I think Jim's saying he's urging to get the Keystone Drive entrance done soon.
Yeah.
And I think as Chris tried to touch on, phase one is really just reorganizing what he has on the property now. It gets rid of the trailer that he has for the offices, so it's not business expansion for phase one. Phase two is really when he puts up his new pole barn, he'll have more storage, it's essentially business expansion, and I think that's why he suggested that while they're just rearranging things on the site, they don't add the entrance, but before the business expands, they do add the entrance. I believe that was their philosophy.
Yeah, that works for me. So, that's where we're at with them, and that was all I have to report.
Okay. Anybody have any more questions?
Nope, you did a good job, Chris, thank you.
Thanks.
No other questions?
Yeah, question?
No,
Okay,
it's good.
thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve Chris's report as presented. I'll second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
All right.
Aye, Park and Rec. Jimmy, Dave?
Hey, how's everybody doing? Good. Park and Recreation looks better than that. Not much. Well, okay, a couple things. But, Little Free Library, still moving on. Lots of good work, lots of good transactions with the books, lots of use with the books. So I think it was a phenomenal idea from the start till continuing to add books, bar books, used books, bring books, all that kind of good stuff and what it really means. So that's a huge success so far. We have movie night coming up August 24th. It is a Saturday evening, 7:30 p.m. across the street in the park. Bring your kids, grandkids, everybody out. We're still deciding on a movie. We're kind of keeping everybody in suspense, but we're going to have a great movie out there. It's going to be a kids' movie. It's a kid-friendly movie, but it's going to be a good time. I think last year we had around 60, 70 people that attended, and it was a really good event. We're collaboratively working with two vendors. So we have Galco that's going to sponsor it, and we have Grandview Hospitals that can also make a donation towards the licensing of the movie itself. So we're going to have some help and a little bit of work collaboratively together with the Park and Rec Committee. So we're happy about that, fortunate about that. On Veterans Memorial Park and our plaque and brick orders, we have one brick that's been ordered and installed, and we now have 40 names, which is close to what we're looking for. We're looking for 59, I believe, or 58. I think it's 29 on each side, so I think it's 58, if I'm not mistaken. So we're getting close, so we can get the other plaque done and installed, which is awesome. So everybody's doing a great job, from Bonnie and Maggie and everybody else on the committee that's reaching out and getting all the contacts for the veterans to get recognized. Play World is our tot lot. We're working with Play World to get two new play items that are going to be on there. I'm looking at the names: Motion Play Sidewalk and Motion Play Bing Bong Boing. So those are two of the items that Greg sent an email to the vendor Play World, and we're looking to get a response back when they have installation fees and all that kind of stuff as far as scheduling stuff, so we can finish the tot lot, which will have all the, full utilization of the tot lot, which is awesome. So that's great. What else? Let's see, September Fest, how can I forget that? It's gonna be the 25th annual. We have, don't forget that's September 29th, it's the last Sunday in September. We hope to have a huge event out there and have everybody come out and recognize everybody for the 25th year. I think we're gonna do a little revitalization, kind of change things up a little bit, kind of spruce it up and make it the best it's gonna be, and, you know, forever. So I think it's awesome. So we're doing a lot of good things with the Park and Rec. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Dave, I have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
First of all, the tot lot expansion.
Yeah.
You're looking at two items, I thought you were gonna get one. No, do both of them fall within the budget?
They're-
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're looking to see if they fit, the two fit.
Yeah, and we didn't get a quote back.
We didn't get a quote yet.
Oh, okay.
We're
Okay.
still waiting on it.
So we're waiting for a quote.
All right.
But the
That's fine.
preliminary price that was given to us,
Yeah.
they fall within
Yeah.
that number.
Oh, that's great.
The Park and Rec Committee reviewed that and discussed that.
That's good. That's how it was supposed to work.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Second thing is, do you guys have a plan to get that place cleaned up over there?
Yeah.
Because there's
Well,
a,
School, so basically the person that's on vacation I was gonna work with is on vacation this week, so actually after the weekend I'll probably be working with them.
because those
Get it.
berms are in bad shape.
The berms?
I'm talking about the berms, I'm
Ah.
talking about all the trees, everything, there's weeds all over the place.
That's,
Burns were,
that's a-
locked down.
Weed whacked down,
And
there's
then-
still,
And next week,
okay, that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to know.
Rain.
yeah, rain's
All right,
about enough.
okay.
One of the things, just to let you know, Jim, one of the things we did discuss at length about the berms and the possibility of taking them out or keeping them. One of the biggest issues that we face is being able to get to them,
Yeah.
to work on.
Rain, yeah.
You can't get equipment there because it's too wet. And you
You
can't
barely-
wheelbarrow
you can barely
holes
walk
there.
there.
You know, you're talking about major weeks and weeks of work. Anyway,
Okay.
it's being discussed.
Good. Thank you.
Lots of good
That's
stuff.
all I had. Thank
Okay,
you.
cool.
Dave, as far as the movie night, everybody needs to bring their chairs.
That is right.
Right.
Yes, everybody's got to bring in lawn chairs or a blanket so you can sit on the grass. I mean, it's gonna be free seats. Best seating is come early, come often and get there, show up, and we're looking to have, I'm not sure as far as snacks what we're gonna do, but we're still working on those details, but we have about a good month and a half to go yet, actually almost 2 months. So, we're ready, we're planning, and it's gonna be cool.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
All right,
Good
thanks.
job.
Gonna head to a few small
Entertain
meetings.
a motion for approval of the Park and Rec report.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
The next on the agenda, Conservation Committee report. Michael? Here, Mike.
This is really nice. Good evening. Conservation Committee is a group of volunteers that help interested landowners conserve their property, and that's under Pennsylvania's open space law. Currently, we have a goal of 30% of our approximately 10,000 acres in the township to preserve, and we're about halfway there with 17%. So we're moving along every year. It's a slow process, but it keeps going. Our last meeting was held on May 16th. Highlights of the meeting, the fall newsletter is coming up, and we're planning to write an article on conserving your land up here in the fall newsletter, along with the preserved properties map that usually shows up every newsletter. Open space signs, we had ordered some a while ago. We have 2 new signs are installed on the catch basin property, which you'll recall we purchased, or the township purchased a little while ago. One sign is going to be on Catch Basin Road, and then an oversized sign is on Route 309 South. So I guess if you're going the speed limit, you should be able to see it. So hopefully, it's pretty obvious on the southbound side. Also, we're planning to add little oval acreage signs on all the signs. A lot of the open space signs do not have the acreage on it, so it's kind of more informative to have acreage. On the preserved property database, we maintain a database of all the preserved properties in the township, so the township can access it. We also use that for the preserved properties map that appears in the newsletters. So we've just recently added the catch basin and the McGann property. Our meetings are held on the 3rd Thursday of odd-numbered months at 7 o'clock. We meet every other month. and right here. And the meeting dates are actually on the Township website. And if you're interested, the minutes, and we have some very informative conservation booklets that are on the Township website, and it's under the tab for the Conservation Committee. So you're welcome to look at that. You can download them. Some of them are really very helpful if you're looking at property preservation. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Wayne, good report, very good.
Thank you.
I recommend the proposal for approval of Mike's report.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, 2 seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Mike. Commission reports. Planning Commission? No, I'm sorry, Police report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Tim.
This is the report, the following information, list of monthly activities for the Pennridge Regional Police Department for the month of May 2019. The Pennridge Regional Police Department responded to 669 calls for service. Of those calls, 355 were in East Rockhill and 314 were in West Rockhill. The department handled 34 traffic crashes. There were 12 crashes in East Rockhill Township and 22 in West Rockhill Township. 18 of those were reportable crashes and 16 were non-reportable crashes. In regards to criminal activity, the Pennridge Regional Police officers responded to 12 Part 1 crimes and 49 Part 2 crimes in May, totaling 61 crimes. The Part 1 crimes are some of your more serious crimes, also known as index crimes or violent crimes. West Rockhill, the reported crimes, there were 5 theft cases, 4 fraud cases, 5 DUIs, 1 burglary, 1 terroristic threats, 1 possession of marijuana, 2 harassments, 2 cases of disorderly conduct, 3 cases of criminal mischief, 1 public drunkenness, 5 ordinance violations, and 4 cases of dog law violations. In East Rockhill Township, the reported crimes, there was 2 sex offense against minor cases, 3 terroristic threats cases, one of those being at Pennridge High School, the bomb threat. A theft case, 3 theft cases, 2 fraud cases, 1 assault, 4 possession of marijuana cases, 1 public drunkenness, 1 trespass, 4 cases of harassment, 2 cases of disorderly conduct, 1 possession of a weapon on school property, that was also at Pennridge High School, 1 ordinance violation, and 2 cases of dog law violations in East Rockhill. The criminal charges that were filed for May of 2019, there were 2 burglaries, 2 thefts, 2 receiving stolen properties, 1 aggravated assault, 1 flight to avoid apprehension, 1 recklessly endangering another person, 4 possession of marijuana cases, 1 possession of drug paraphernalia, 1 terroristic threat, that also being the bombing at the high school. We did end up capturing that person. 1 public drunkenness, 5 DUIs, 1 harassment, 2 disorderly conduct, and 1 criminal mischief. In regards to other police activities for May, officers conducted 159 traffic enforcement details, 30 details specifically on Old Bethlehem Pike. Officers issued 14 verbal traffic warnings, 29 citations, and 24 written warnings. They also conducted 219 business checks. We also had an Upper Bucks Motor Carrier Safety Enforcement detail. I believe it was in our area, actually. I think it was down in the Township building, and also over on Ridge Road or 313 in East Rockhill. They kind of split the day up. Of that, there were 21 inspections done on commercial vehicles. There were 19 violations. They took 8 trucks out of service, and they had 1 overweight violation. That being said, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Do you gentlemen have any questions?
I have no questions.
Do you have any questions, Jen?
I have no questions.
Okay, no, thank you.
Thanks.
Entertain a motion for approval of Tim's report.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks again, Tim. Okay, next on the agenda is Joint Rec Authority, Mr. Miller.
Good evening. Pool opened about 3 weeks ago now, maybe a month ago. And as you can see from the picture, we did a lot of work. We repainted the entire pool before we filled it. It looks really good. We're getting a lot of good comments from our guests and from our members. The attendance is up, so everybody right now is really happy with what they're seeing and what we've been doing. By repainting that pool ourselves with volunteers, it cost us $4,000. If we had someone come in to do it, it was quoted at $12,000. So it was tough work, but we saved $8,000 on that, so, and everybody likes the job. So that was good. The next thing is that we had a donation made to the pool. These 4 pots that you can see there were donated by David Collingwood after he took a tour of the pool, and we thank him for that. They really helped beautify the entranceway, so we want to thank him. And let's see, preseason sales. Preseason sales this year were up 22%. We've been doing a lot of marketing. People like what they've been seeing. We've got some videos out there now on social media about the pool. And like I said, it's up 22%, and that equates to over $8,000 in revenue increase. So we're doing very well there. We have the yard sale coming up June 29th from 8 to 12 in the parking lot of the pool. You can buy a table, $10 right here in the Township building. And we hope to see a lot of you come out to support the yard sale. With school letting out, we're going to restart our weekly bingo games in the pool. That's always been very popular, so we'll be doing that. And now for the big news, we are scheduling a craft beer night at Holiday House Pool. Wow. Yes, it's going to be on July 19th from 8 to 10 p.m., which is after the pool closes. It's for adults only. No one under the age of 21 will be permitted to enter. Craft beer will be sold by the Proper Brewing Company in Quakertown. They have a truck with 5 taps on it they're going to bring in. And our Auntie M's snack shop is going to make a special menu up that night of finger foods and steak sandwiches and stuff that you can buy. We will not be selling any beer, only the Proper Brewing Company will sell the beer, and they'll supply all the permits and do everything they need to do. The cost to get in will be $5 to get in. Like I said, no one under the age of 21. The pool will be available for swimming in the shallow end. No one can use the diving board, and no one can use the sailing board. However, additionally, they'll play bocce ball, ping pong. We've got a cornhole toss. We're going to have music on the sound system. So please come out and join us. It's open to everyone, not just pool members. It's open to everyone who wants to come. You can buy tickets here. You can buy tickets at the Sellersville Borough Hall, and you can buy tickets at the pool until the day of the event. Until the day of the event, the tickets are $5, and at the gate they'll be $7.50 if you don't buy your ticket early. I think that's all I've got, so we hope you come out and join us. Any questions? Yeah. We are. We're making big progress, and we're getting a lot of support, so.
Okay, I understand a motion for approval of the report.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's have a thank you. Tax collector's report.
Okay, for the month of June, for annual taxes, I've collected $4,401.26 in annuals. 2019 interims, $33.84, and 2018 interim, $4.86. Streetlight tax, $97.11 for the month of June. I just want you to know that county and township tax bills go into penalty after June 30th. This is the last day of paying face, and then the school tax bills should be in your mailbox for July 1st.
Do you have many that are outstanding, right? Not a lot.
No, not really, no. I've gotten a good portion of our payments for this time of year. About 90% have been collected with county and townships.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, Suzanne?
I have none.
Okay. If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Who's in second? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you, Suzanne. Engineers report. Mr. Lee.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Got that board.
The first item on the agenda is the Dominus Land Development Plan. We have representatives here tonight. I'll give them a second to. There's
Scott,
a,
how are you?
I had a newer review letter than what was in the packet, because they gave me a late plan to clean things up, so that's what I'm passing out.
Thank you, sir.
Is this a new review?
Yeah, it was emailed the other day, but I brought extra copies because it wasn't in the packet. You
You
might
don't know
have,
when I spend all day reviewing.
well, if you reviewed the one that was emailed to you, it's good. You'll
Of course
survive.
not, of course not.
You'll survive.
Scott, is your waiver letter still April 12th?
We actually are removing one waiver from that. The road widening is not required.
Sorry, Steve.
So section 506.4, road widening, the roads are wide enough to meet the current ordinance. So we're actually removing that waiver request.
I think what the board would like you to do is let them know if there's any items that are not will complies.
Okay, do they want an overview of the site or just to go over the letter?
They probably like that too.
Okay. As you can see up on the screen here, this is Anna Lane and this is Bethlehem Pike here, and this is the corner lot. This is lot 3 of the Rotor subdivision, which was approved in 1999. And so what Dominus Corporation is proposing is to put a building for their business right here. Let me say this is the outbound view of the property. They put their building right here. They have a 10-car parking space here with their driveway accessing onto Anna Lane this direction here. This is a buffer yard all along here. This lot is on lot sewer, on lot water. The sewage testing was done in this location, and the well will be over here to be 100 feet away. So that's an overview of what they're proposing. The use that we come under is the E11 auto repair, which is the closest to what they do. They actually sell air filters is what they do. And Jeremy Gargis is here to learn a little more specifically about his air filter business, but that's what they do. So there is some foot traffic, not much, most of it's wholesale. Just a couple employees, that's why they don't need very many parking spaces. The lot is approximately a little under 1 acre in size. It's in your PC2 zoning district, which requires 20,000 square feet, so it's about twice the size of what's required in the requirement.
How many employees will be in that facility?
Oh, excuse me, what was the question?
How many employees?
2
Yeah.
full-time, 1 part-time.
And where's the entrance and exit to that property from to Anna Lane?
Right in this location
Okay,
here.
but my concern was this was too close to Bethlehem Pike.
It is not. And the Rotor subdivision was a 6-lot subdivision. This is the last lot being developed on that outside.
Right. Okay, so you want to go through the letter?
Sure. There's a couple of notes, things that we could skip, really, if we want to focus just on, well, I'll tell you the items that I would like to focus on. 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And item 2 is the first one that talks about the waiver requests. Curbs and sidewalk are not characteristic of this area, so we're not proposing curbs and sidewalks. All the lots in this development that have been developed since 1999, they do not have curbs or sidewalks, or no curbs or sidewalks along Bethlehem Pike. I don't know where the closest curb or sidewalk would be to this lot. So we're asking for waivers. That just doesn't make sense to have no curbs or sidewalks there.
You guys have been,
Yeah, what are we doing
with
there?
the fee in lieu of instead of the waiver.
I'm fine with it. I don't see any, I think that's what we've done with all the other lots that have been there.
I guess the question I had, when that subdivision was done, where curbs and sidewalks were not proposed, what was the policy at that time? Was the fee in lieu paid at that
I
time?
can check on that for you after the meeting.
Certainly if they had paid at that time, then we wouldn't feel it's fair for them to have to pay fee in lieu again.
No,
Item 3 is also a waiver, not for the number of trees, but you have in your ordinance a requirement for shading of the parking lot And this lot is a little irregular in shape, and what we have is, to comply with the stormwater ordinance, we have stormwater management control, BMP, an infiltration BMP, that collects the runoff from the parking lot, and we're also then directing the downspouts from the building over on this side of the parking lot. The building's on this side, the driveway on this side, so the idea of that ordinance is that you plant trees around the parking area to shade the parking, and there's a certain percentage you need. We're falling a little short of that percentage, but then what we're saying in our waiver request is that we would plant an additional tree in this location aside of the building, with the idea that if that tree was over by the parking, then we comply. So we're proposing the amount of trees that would be necessary to provide the shading. It's just we can't get them around that parking because of the irregular shape of the property, and if we plant them any closer, we wouldn't survive. So we are planning or proposing to plant the required trees. It's just a little waiver from
Adjustment.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that myself.
And then the other, like I said, these other items are will comply notes or the conservation district, things like that we will follow up on. Comment 8 deals with fire marshal and fire chief. And I don't know, Steve, I haven't heard anything from them.
Yeah, the township has forwarded it. When we get a response, we'll certainly let you know.
Item 9, existing vegetation within the right-of-way at the intersection of Bethlehem Pike and Anna Road should be cleared. There's some vegetation growing up right in this area right here, and the client says they absolutely don't want to.
I will share with you, we have tried to get PennDOT to clean the ditches out along there, you know, where the culverts are there. They get full of debris quite often, but that's sometimes difficult to do, even though their facility is right down the street.
I understand. But we will clear that.
Okay.
Item 10 is your fee in lieu of with regards to recreation land, and I know that's an ordinance requirement, so we'll comply. And then 11 is just the development. We put together a cost estimate for the public improvements, and I know that there's an agreement that will need to be prepared for that. Steve, are there any other items that you feel need to be highlighted to the board?
No, only that I'll call attention to number 13 because it hadn't been on prior letters. It might have been discussed when we were at the last meeting, though. There is a relatively new ordinance in the township that requires a emergency rapid entry system or Knox box system be installed on all new construction. So I just put that in there to make you aware of that new ordinance. It's not really a land development issue, but you will be expected to do that when you submit for a building permit.
Get them from the fire company.
Excuse me?
Get them from the fire company.
The fire company can give you instructions on what exactly they need. So the planning commission had recommended preliminary final approval. They recommended granting the waivers that we just discussed here.
When you find it, have you quantified the waiver issue?
Yeah, and we'll do that with the preparation of the resolution. We'll confirm that.
Is this lot 6 in what we would refer to as the Anna Lane subdivision?
It is.
It was Roder.
Lot 3
Okay, lot 3.
of the Anna Lane.
This is.
Anna Lane,
I'm just looking to answer the question you asked before, and it appears that was from like 2009 or 2010. That's what my class
Yeah.
was thinking. I'm not.
Oh, fine.
I have the final date on the plan of 1999.
I have the plan. No, it's not.
Then the answer to your question is you're probably gonna pay the fee in lieu of. There's nothing, you weren't doing resolutions at the time, there's nothing in there to indicate that there was a fee in lieu of. If you find something, let us know.
And what are you looking at with regards to that? Because it says in here that you know, according to ordinance, you may request a fee in lieu of.
Or put in the improvements.
Well, putting the improvements in curb and sidewalk don't really make
Right.
sense.
most people pay the fee in lieu of. I
And
think-
what is the
I think
fee?
CNC paving did that.
There's a resolution, and Greg will give it to you. It's related to a percentage of the actual cost.
Footage, what we go by footage.
And
How
then a
many
percentage
feet?
of that.
Yes. How many
There,
feet?
there's not, unlike minor residential subdivisions, there's not a flat rate for that. It's based on the extent of improvements being made.
And would that be for Anna Lane and for Bethlehem Pike, or just for
Both.
So Steve, will you outline the resolution that should be on the floor for discussion?
Yeah, I think we've got it. It'll be like subject to the conditions in Steve's letter dated June 14th with the granting of the one waiver that, or the waivers that remain in their waiver request letter of April 12th. And they've indicated that they would rather do a fee in lieu of the road improvements than actually construct them. I think I'll prepare a resolution and have it to you at the next meeting.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for a resolution to deal with this activity as defined by Steve and Mary.
Make that motion.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
That's a motion for resolution, or that's a motion for approval?
No,
It's a motion for a
For a resolution.
Okay, so
She's
then,
going to prepare the resolution.
Nice try.
and the next meeting is the.
All right, we'll provide you with a copy of the resolution before the meeting. If you're okay with everything, let us know. You don't have to return to the meeting, it'll just be on the
I
agenda.
have your contact information, you
I'm
don't
sure
change,
you
right?
do.
Yeah.
All right, Mary, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks. The next item we have is the Fresco lot line adjustment subdivision. Is there anyone here present tonight from Fresco? They asked us.
Yeah,
It would be on the agenda tonight.
Confirm to be on the agenda tonight.
It's very minor. If you want me to give a quick overview, I could do it. And we
Please
might
do.
be able to
Please do.
move forward on this plan anyway. I'll give Sherry, oh, she has it on the,
Yeah.
she has it on the plan.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thanks, Sharon.
You're familiar with the Fresco site, and then next to the Fresco site, well, the Fresco site is off of State Road. Next to the Fresco site is the old Rockhill Mennonite Church, which is now Ridgeline Community Church, which is on Meeting House Road. The baseball field in the back of the church is essentially the piece of property that they're going to convey from the church property to Fresco. It's a lot line adjustment. It's 1.5, a little over half acre that they're transferring. That's the long and short of what's proposed. They had asked for waivers of road improvements. That's my item number one. With no new construction, our policy is not to have to fee in lieu of waivers. Number two, they still have to install the property monuments. Number three, they still have to provide us with the deeds. 5 is just a note. 6 is their signature lines have to be corrected on their notaries. Those are the only comments.
Concrete monuments?
Concrete monuments.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
What are they proposing to do with this land? Just
Uh,
add it to their property?
Our understanding, Fresco anticipates coming in with a new land development plan on their overall property. And it just provides them more room for maneuverability. If you've ever noticed in the back of their building with all the additions they've made, it's pretty tight to get around the back of their building. So we expect to see another plan from Fresco in the near future. So again, this would be just an authorization to prepare and approve a resolution.
I'd make that motion.
I'll second it.
Move to second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. So moved, Mary.
Okay, move this on to Paul's Money Subdivision. We do have representatives here tonight.
Good evening, Ed Chadro with Eastern Chadro Associates. As the overview given by the Planning Commission Chairman, this is a 2-lot subdivision on 617 Cat Hill Road. Both lots are in the IS district, which are conform to the zoning requirements. Both lots will be served by on-site well and septic. And we're seeking preliminary final approval tonight, conditioned upon complying with the Township Engineers Review Letter of June 6, 2019, except for the following 3 waivers that were recommended by the Planning Commission, which were regular lot size to get around the septic area, road improvements, and the recreational land, which we were given feeling earlier.
Steve, is there any discussion on line of sight on that road, that's PennDOT Road?
PennDOT Road,
That's pretty tight right there.
yeah, I did not notice a particular problem. I assume every once in a while you do trim the vegetation there along the front of your property. That would be the only, there's no trees or anything in the way, it's just whatever brush, overgrowth. And the one comment that we did have, and I believe the applicant will work with this, we have always had drainage concerns along Cat Hill Road.
Yes.
There is an existing culvert, fairly well-defined swale, and an existing culvert out by Cat Hill Road. What I asked them to look into is up above the paved driveway entrance, there's another area that water collects at. And they're gonna look into either piping or making sure that water gets across the driveway also and doesn't end up flowing out the
That was
driveway.
a concern I had, which, as you know, we've discussed many concerns.
Right, so we looked at that specifically, we talked about that at the planning commission.
Okay.
And that's all outside of the PennDOT right of way, so it's not a permit issue, or, they can do that just with our approval.
Okay.
So to the satisfaction of the township engineer?
Yes, it's actually item
That's 4,
4.
unless
Yep.
you have another.
Nope, nope.
otherwise review
It's item 4.
that. And number 3, the answer to your question is yes. They should have shared driveway easements.
Yeah,
if
I
they're
thought
gonna
we
subdivide the
typically
property.
do. It's just shared in the right of way. That's, it does split on the lots. That's the only reason I questioned it. I assume you'd be more comfortable with having an agreement.
Is there any items on this review letter, the June 6th review letter, that are not will compliant?
No, they're all will comply except for the items that we stated.
I had a question
Yeah.
about item number 11. Are you planning on doing the fee in lieu of or dedicating the?
That was a fee in lieu of, that was a waiver request, I think?
Yes. You did mention that too.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Would you like me to prepare a resolution?
I would make that motion. I'll second.
Move the second, Mary prepare a resolution for this activity. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
And
Thank you.
since you're new, just to reiterate, we typically prepare the resolution, we'll provide you copies of it to review before the meeting. If you're satisfied with the way it's written, you don't have to attend the next meeting, it'll just be placed on the agenda for adoption.
I have your information. as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
And then last, for me anyway, we have Select Properties, Young Tract Minor Subdivision, we have representatives.
Yes, thank you. Members of the board, my name's Frank Bartle. I'm here for Select Properties. As the chairman of the Planning Commission had indicated, and he did a very good job of describing to you what this is about. This is a minor subdivision. It is currently 1 lot with a dwelling on it to be subdivided into 2 lots. And the lot that my clients are purchasing is lot number 2, identified in the engineer's letter. And that's the rear lot portion, which is vacant, will remain vacant until it's decided what's going to happen with respect to that lot. As you are well aware, we have plans with respect to other properties in the area. We're not exactly sure what's going to happen in that regard, but nonetheless, for tonight, it's just a simple residential subdivision, and that's what's before you. We did submit a waiver request letter. The first of those waivers, I think, is really pretty simple. When our engineer went out to the property to look for wetlands, he determined that there weren't any. There was a prior study done some years ago that indicated that there were wetlands on what would be Lot 1 with respect to the property. That's not the property that we're buying. We have been requested by the engineer to file a report indicating why that may be, that there were wetlands described in the prior plan and not on the current report, and we will comply with that. There's no question about that. The only issue is that there's a provision of your ordinance that requires us to go to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for validation of the wetlands delineation in light of the fact that the lot that we're buying by both reports shows no wetlands. There's really no point in us delineating anything with respect to that, so we request a waiver with respect to that portion, and I understand that your engineer supports that waiver request. That was also supported by the Planning Commission the other night when we were there.
Can you just go over what you said? So you don't have to go out and get like a JD or anything for the wetlands on lot number 1, but what is it that needs to be done?
They will provide a more detailed report.
By like a soil scientist or something like that?
Yeah, our NOVA consultants who provided the first information will give a more detailed report with respect to that, yes.
You have a report, Steve. Who does that report?
Their soils consultant will do that report. He's qualified to do the wetlands report. We called it out the first time because we had the old plan that showed some wetlands and now there wasn't, so we're looking for a clarification of what changed or what the circumstances are. As I indicated though, the property in question never had the wetland delineation, either in the old report or the new report. So that's why we were comfortable with not going for the JD, but just get all the report information.
But it doesn't have to be shown on the plan.
There's nothing to show. So they're proving that there are no wetlands.
Gotcha.
Okay. The other the other four waiver requests that we had provided, actually we had done them by way of deferral with respect to the fees in lieu of for the road improvements, the curbs, the sidewalk, and the recreation land. Now that was, as the Planning Commission Chair indicated, that was denied. He did say that had we asked for waivers instead, that they would have agreed to recommend granting of them. We don't care how it's done, whether it's done by deferral, or whether it's done by waiver, or whether it's done by paying that money now and giving us a credit toward the future. We just don't want to pay for the same thing twice, since we're not developing the property right now. And when we do come in and develop the property, the curbs, sidewalk, and the like may not be in the locations that they would be in now if you were looking at this to build a single-family dwelling. And the fees may be different, especially with respect to recreation, than what we're talking about here. We're just saying whatever money we pay now with respect to those things, we would like a credit with respect to what we actually do build, or alternatively, if you want to give us a waiver, that's fine, and then we don't have to pay it now, or we termed it a deferral, and that caused some issues because I know that you haven't used that terminology before. But however it's done, we just wanted either a credit or a waiver with respect to those four issues. And that's it. Other than that, we have a simple two-lot subdivision. It's a minor subdivision. It is a matter where there is full compliance with all salvo requirements and full compliance with regard to zoning requirements, with the exception of the minor issues that we discussed here. And other than that, your letter of your engineers will comply right across the board with all the issues.
So the two issues, the wetlands and the fee in lieu.
Right.
Well, how do you gentlemen feel about it?
Well, I'm not opposed to too, if possible. My concern, I have a concern. The concern is if, are you expecting to incorporate this property with other properties?
We may, yes.
You may, yeah.
Yeah.
So the price may go up regarding our fee and lieu
Right.
money in the future. And I don't know that if a development is ever built, wouldn't we want curbs and sidewalks?
Yes.
Now, of course, I don't know if this is in that area.
Well, we're not asking for any future deferral or waiver. In other words.
I understand.
Okay, we come in with a new plan, we expect to pay whatever the going freight is.
Okay. What do you think?
Never deferred in the past. It
Make a pay
can be a
now.
practice. It's not conducive to the way we run business, my view.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we should do that too.
okay. I'm comfortable with that. Yeah.
So what,
Fee and low now.
fee in lieu of now, would you like to put a time limit on the development? So we're not sitting here trying to figure out in 2034?
Well, that would be a guess on our part, unless he knows
Well, there
something
should
we
be,
don't.
there should be, because that's generally the price would go up with materials and stuff over the time of years.
Yeah, I would say if you're gonna give us the credit, we would ask for it probably for a 4-year period, because we think we'd be building within that.
I think the price, costs are gonna go too much in 4 years.
Again, all
Maybe 2 years.
we're asking for is a credit toward the money that we paid. We're not asking for you to reassess, you're gonna assess at that time with respect to whatever your fee, with respect to whatever your fees are.
And I understand what you're saying about things going up. My concern is more an administrative one. When there's something hanging in the file like that, it's really hard to ensure that the proper documentation will be there.
Could I
There's a
recommend,
burden on the staff to be in tune to follow what's going on there too.
I think 2-3 years tops would be appropriate. It's up to you.
Okay, I perform with the motion approved, but not defer the fee and low.
for 2 years, 3 years?
I'd say 3 years.
Okay, 3 years.
3 years?
Yep.
And so I'll prepare a resolution.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
So
And, of course, I have your contact.
Sure. and,
We'll get it to you before the meeting.
Okay, very good.
There's no agreement to accept conditions here, just a resolution, so we'd be looking for some, like just an email saying the conditions are acceptable.
I'll send that. Very good. Thank you all very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Hey Steve, you have anything else on your?
I do not have anything on the agenda, but I would report, you did accept the plan review status under the consent agenda, which is as a point of information. Tim Snyder's Lot 7 subdivision had a time period coming up. He did provide us with a 6-month extension this week, so that has been extended. He didn't, all I know is he's
He's not
working
gonna
on
be
plans.
billed this time.
Oh, no.
This is a new plan. I mean,
This is the new plan, the reworking of the large subdivision of Lot 7.
So we're starting with ground zero again.
Well, we're not exactly ground zero, it's an amendment to the plan that he had previously done, but because of the time lapse, we are applying new ordinances to it, so he's making it meet current standards. Effectively, it's a new
Economics
plan.
were at ground zero.
Effectively, it's a new plan. Administratively, it's an amendment to his old plan. So he's apparently in the process of working that out. That's all I had to report.
Okay, more questions for Steve?
No, I would make a motion to approve his report.
I'll second.
Move in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Seven. Okay, solicitors report.
Thank you. I had one quick addition on the solicitor's report, and maybe Greg will bail me out when I get there, but in 2014, you borrowed money under the open space program, and that had 5-year fixed rate and then to be readjusted at the end of 5 years. We're now at the end of 5 years. So I have a resolution that the bank prepared committing to, instead of just letting it was supposed to go to like a variable rate at this point, correct? And Greg negotiated with the bank to have a fixed rate for the next 5 years, so we get another 5 years of fixed rate, and that's at 3.35%. And we checked with DCED, and for a loan modification, we don't need DCED approval, so all that needs to be done is that you need to approve the resolution agreeing to the 3.35% rate for the next 5 years. So,
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve that.
and I'm so sorry, I can't find my agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
That's all I have.
Okay, next thing on the agenda,
I'll make a motion to approve Mary's report.
I'll second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Township manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item is the treasurer's report ending May 31st, 2019. The general fund, $794,717.54. Highway A, $278,068.39. Open space, $976,632.80. The park fund, $9,339.09. The equipment fund, $17,242.03. Highway capital, $127.49. Street lighting, $35,920.55. The general fund reserve, $344,451.22. Open space Manderfield, $50,599. The sewage maintenance fund, $171,585.20. The stormwater fund, $6,280.93, and the escrow funds, $280,606.63, and you also have a list of the bills.
Okay, are there any questions?
No, I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report and payment of the bills subject to audit.
I'll second that motion.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
We also have one other item. Pennridge Community Day requested a donation. I would request a donation of $250 to Pennridge Community Day.
Okay.
Support that motion,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So approved.
That's all I have.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to accept the manager's report.
I'll second.
so moved and second, all in favor?
All right.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this thing on. We have a copy of our credit report, the one from air quality.
I have it on my computer. I do not have it.
Anyway, we have a letter from air quality requesting the board agree to sign a letter to the governor that relates to the clean air and the expulsion of methane gases. And Clean Air is leading this charge, and they've asked us if we would join in on this activity. And they asked the board if they are in agreement. If we would, we could sign, Greg could sign the letter, and we could support their activity. So, do you have any questions, John?
No, I support.
Questions?
Okay, motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, do we have any old business?
Yes, Mr. Linden asked a question about Allentown Road Bridge expansion. It was probably a few years ago now, we talked about that, and we decided that we weren't going to do it at the time, but we did say we would get back to PennDOT and ask them for options we had for traffic flow on Allentown Road at the two bridges that are one lane. PennDOT never got back to us, as far as I know, about doing anything with the bridges themselves or the traffic, but what they did do was come back and say that they were limiting, and we talked about this before, they were limiting the length of trailers, tractor trailers that could be on the road. They put up additional signage at all the intersections, I think, coming out on Allentown Road to make them more safe. And I don't believe there's been any other action on that. Do you know of anything else?
No, it was just the limitations that
Yeah.
that was just in the past couple of months, they reported that to us.
I will share with you, because you may remember, that I proposed to have the bridges widened to 2-lane safe passable bridges. And I didn't have a second supervisor vote, if you recall that. There's an ordinance in the township that I was unaware of when I started looking at this. And talking to Paul Clymer back then, as well as Chuck McElhaney, the senator. And the township had an ordinance in place saying that you could not replace the bridges, those 2 bridges, without changing the ordinance. So I proposed it here, I think it's been 2 years now. And we didn't have a second supervisor support to change that. As a commercial driver, I will tell you, those 2 bridges are inadequate. And anyone, I think there was several people in this audience that are here now that supported changing that ordinance so that we could have safe passage. We already know how deep the ditches are on the side of the roads there and what the traffic issues are as far as people stopping one way each way at the churches. So unless we get that changed, we won't be able to fix the 1-lane bridges.
Any comments, please?
No more comments, no?
Okay. You got your answer, Bob, what we know.
Thank you.
Any new business?
I'm sorry, one more thing on old business.
Okay.
There's been a lot of stuff posted lately about the tax relief for conserved properties in the area, and there was a school district tax that the school district had a time period limiting the length of the tax relief. And there was a meeting last week, I believe, and I know that was heavily attended by our township officials here in East Rockhill, Bedminster, and all the ones in the area. And that was just a committee meeting. They're getting ready to take it to the full board, but I think we need to talk about what our feeling is on that and show our support.
Yeah, I attended the meeting, as did the 3 supervisors from East Rockhill, and a number of supervisors and people from Bedminster. I don't know who else was there, but pretty much there were 30-some people there, and each had the opportunity to present a message to the board committee. And the message that was delivered was that they should renew this, and they should renew it as a permanent type benefit. I will say the board chair of the meeting did a very good job of explaining the purpose and the benefit of conserved properties. And that was reinforced by myself, Dave Nyman, Jim Tufsky, and several business people. So the board, each one individually discussed the subject, and they all voted that they would take the message to the board, next board meeting, to recommend approval and to make it a permanent arrangement instead of going through this every 5 years. And so it's an important piece of our conservation program and the people who made the effort to conserve the property. And it's not a major influence on the Pennridge School District. I think it was 5 years it was in there. It amounted to about $2 million out of some $100+ million of taxes that they take in. So, the board chair explained very well the benefit over a period of time of how that saves money for the school in terms of facilities, teachers, supplies, etc., everything else. And that's the benefit, and one of the reasons way back when we started this program to accomplish that, and also accomplish keeping a rural, private rural community and controlling development that way, which obviously controls what you need for school, etc. So I think positively they're going to vote at the board meeting to support that, continue supporting it, and make it permanent. There's one caveat. Another board could come in there and change it, but that's
That's the way it goes.
the roll of the dice, so get what you get when you can get it.
I will add, I share the support of this position. When it was first brought up, I attended the meetings as well as Don, when it was put in place, and I think it's a great thing for the people that have preserved their properties. And I want to see it continued.
And the message delivered, this community has spent millions of dollars to conserve the properties we have, and in the process, they deserve some fair treatment for making that effort, because it benefits them, but it also benefits the school district. And I think they got that message loud and clear from everybody. So I think that's what persuaded them to decide what to do. But Jim makes a point, we as a board need to decide and take a position. I took a position as a citizen of West Rockhill Township, and because we had not had the opportunity to meet and discuss this beforehand. So we need to go in writing, and I would put forth a proposal that Greg prepare a letter to the school board indicating our preference or what's to be done for this tax bill.
Yeah, I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you. I had no more.
You got directed for it. Okay, Jim, you said something else?
No, that was it.
Okay. Jay, you have anything else?
The only thing I wanted to ask Greg of all business wise was Cat Hill Road. Do we have an update on PennDOT?
No, we don't.
Okay. So when,
It's better it was, it's traveled, but it's still rough.
Right.
Really rough.
okay. That's it. That's all I have.
Okay, time period for public comment, and I urge you to, if you have a comment, make the comment. Odds are we're not going to get into a lot of discussion about it, because we don't know what the comment will be at this point. And if you have a question, if we can, we'll try to answer. If we can't, we'll get you the answer at the next meeting. So, does anybody have any public comment? Yes, sir.
Doug Kohler, Allentown Road. On Monday morning at 6:45, southbound traffic on Allentown Road was backed up from the bridge to Finnan Road. So I estimate that there was 15 cars stopped. I want you to know the traffic's getting worse.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
They're here.
Appreciate it. Try to make sure everybody hears what's being said.
Chad Davis, 2315 Finland Road. I want to know with Ridge Valley and Ridge Road, the water on the corner there, what's going to be done? It's a swamp out there every day. And come winter time, it's going to freeze up again, and something really has to be done there. And then from the bridge there at the Twin Churches going to County Line Road with PennDOT, the road's falling apart. I mean, there's spots where, you know, the white line's here, but the road ends in the, it's falling apart.
It's eroded away, right.
It is, and it's not like it's, you go off-road and, oh, geez, I'm stuck. You go off-road, your car's destroyed.
2 feet down, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a serious, serious situation.
Chad, we have reached out to PennDOT and we have identified those issues, but we haven't gotten a response.
Well.
And they are PennDOT roads, and so same as Ridge Valley and Ridge Road out here is a PennDOT road as well. We had an issue with drainage around the corner down there where the ESCO is.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to do something there. I don't know if they took care of that.
Yeah, it came out and graded.
They came out and took care of that problem? Okay.
They came out and graded it.
Yeah, I'm not sure they didn't take care of it.
They didn't take care of it.
Better.
It's better.
It's better. Okay.
But I was, the other day, I was going down, you know, I have a business in town, I'm driving my truck down the road. It's just dangerous. Somebody's gonna get hurt.
We've had an exceptional amount of rain that's contributed to this with the amount of rain in a short period of time.
Yeah.
But I will share with you, and I think you probably, if you've listened to the meetings, you'll see, I have stressed to PennDOT
I know.
on the ditch maintenance program, cleaning the ditches out. If the debris isn't cleaned out of the ditches, the water can't flow where it's supposed to.
Yeah.
That's our problem, and you see it every day being on the road.
I do, and, you know, if you can post a number for PennDOT where we can call and voice our opinion, because.
Call your local representative?
Yes,
Okay.
it worked before for us on Finland Road with
Yes.
the guardrail and all, and that really helped out.
I was told by.
And I lost my numbers of people to bother.
We'll get one.
215-345-6066.
I don't have my pen with me.
Well, we'll get it to you.
Okay.
60/60. We'll work on it.
Thank you.
Thanks for your input.
Yep.
Anyone else have any comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
Carol Strobel of the Rockhill. Oh. Carol Strobel, West Rockhill, of the Rockhill Road, regarding the bridge on Allentown Road there, especially the one by the Twin Churches. I know every night I was wondering if it's possible to, when there's that much traffic, if it could be 2 cars at a time, if there could be a sign that said 2x2 or something like that.
Those are the kind of questions that I personally wanted to present to PennDOT, because I thought they could put some kind of timed light up there, which would allow traffic, depending on the morning or afternoon, to travel. You know, more cars going northbound, more cars going southbound. I think it would just help fix the traffic problem better. But we haven't gotten back. They haven't gotten back to us. It's one of the issues that I presented to them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
So I respectfully asked at the beginning of the meeting for you to give a report on what's happening with the appeal that you filed and whether you've heard back from DEP, do you have a hearing date, why the secrecy? You know, for the past roughly 5 meetings, it's been on the agenda to discuss the compressor. And it's also not just the compressor, it's also the pipeline itself. You know, this goes through residents' backyards, and there's definitely concerns with the pipeline in general.
2 things. Before, we were commenting, and we were commenting in ways that we tried to reflect what the public's feelings about the compressor are. When the board hired an attorney to file an appeal, when I say it becomes a matter of litigation, what I was trying to say before is that if there's strategy involved, there's discussions and matters on how to proceed that aren't necessarily in the township's best interest to discuss in public. Not because they're trying to shroud the matter in secrecy, but because what happens in public meetings goes out on the internet, gets reported in the newspaper, and we can't discuss matters of strategy, not just for the clean air permit, but how we're going to handle matters with FERC ongoing. What I can tell you is this: the appeal was filed. I think that Greg probably talks to the attorney, the environmental attorney, if not 3 times a week, then maybe more than that. And some of the things that are being discussed, was there a response from DEP? I think the question DEP raised was whether the appeal is better held at the federal level, or if the state was going to kick the appeal up to the federal level. And those are things that concern us, but the attorney is working on them and going to hire them. You're asking what DEP's response was. That's a direct answer to your question. But it's not in the same posture that it was when you would come in and complain and say, do something, and we would write letters and we'd all talk about it as a group. Now it's in litigation, and the advice that the environmental attorney gives us,
Only the clean
just
air.
let me finish my sentence. Regarding how to proceed is not something that we're gonna discuss in public.
Only the clean air permit has been appealed. There's other permitting that's required through the DEP, which is all, should all be part of the discussion. And so so this was your strategy, is to file a weak appeal and then to just table the issue so we can't talk about it anymore.
I don't even know what to say to that. I think if you look at.
Well, why
the-
can't you show me what the appeal is?
I don't think anybody said they couldn't. I think
You can get copies.
the first thing we said was that we'll provide a copy of the appeal for you. And it's certainly not.
I didn't hear actually anybody say that.
She said it. She said at the beginning of the meeting.
And you asked if it could be posted on the website, and I said, I don't, that's,
Above your pay grade.
right.
You said it's above your pay grade. So fill out a right to know.
Well, I'll put it on the website.
Okay.
And get it from him.
Okay, if you're gonna put it on the website, that's fine. And why is it that you can't say what, so I filed an appeal, and I received a response back from the DEP, and they are setting up a hearing. So I don't see why would your appeal be very different from my appeal. I don't quite understand.
Might be a little bit larger, a little more complex, I don't know. Might be. Is that possible?
Yes, it's possible.
Okay. This is a very complex project, and clerk's involved, DEP is involved, we're involved, and so we're gonna have to go with the way the process works.
I also don't understand why discussing, reporting, you don't have to tell us what strategy, but why can't this be discussed publicly at the meeting?
What is it? You can get a copy of it and read it.
Okay, I'm not just
I
talking
think
about.
it's 64 pages long, so you gotta
Yeah,
get a
but there's,
copy and read
okay,
it.
okay.
It's not something, we're gonna hand out 64 pages, everybody. You understand what I'm saying? There's nothing that's being hidden. It's in that report. If you want to see it, read it.
Okay, it was mostly them talking, not me.
Okay. Anybody else have a question? Comments? Yes, sir.
I'm Mike Flagg. I live at the end of Gayland Road. And I wanted to thank you for repairing the road, everybody. All the neighbors are overjoyed. A little bit long happening, but I understand they're going to resurface the whole road. Hopefully they'll resurface the part that's still gravel.
But we're going to resurface it as far as the liquid fuels allows us to resurface it.
Oh, okay.
There's a line up there, we're going into the gravel, but I don't know if it's as far as you might want us to.
Well, I want it right at the end of my driveway. Then I'll surface mine. The other thing is, I mentioned this to several of the supervisors, officially that road is not closed. Even the township maps show it is open. If, I would appreciate it if you could put a private driveway sign at the end of the road, because constantly I'm getting people come in thinking that maybe my driveway's the way to get through the Shoecraft.
You mean dead end?
Dead end would work.
I was under the impression there were 2 dead-end signs at the end of the road.
There are at the beginning, but nobody reads them. Or at least 1 or 2 a month don't read them, because.
Well, on each side of the road, when you turn on the Gangland Road.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how far up would you want more signs? I mean, that's.
They come into my driveway, because my driveway is a continuation of the road. And it would be nice if something would stop them. I mean, I get people come in there, well, I didn't know,
And when you and I discussed this a year ago, I guess, I also looked into the fact that you said the online directions and.
All directions, all maps, all
directions send
GPS.
people up that road, and they just ignore the signs. But It takes years for the GPS
Oh, I know
stuff to
that.
get changed.
I know that's not gonna
Yeah,
happen
right.
quickly,
Yeah,
but
that's-
maybe a sign would,
Right, yeah.
thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Thank you. I like your suspenders.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, seeing no more comments, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Move in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank